Hey, I'm ridiculous. Even redonkulous. I happen to have been in downtown Manhattan today for interesting enough reasons. And I'm walking past the courthouse. I see a bunch of cameras. Figured they were shooting Law and Order. No, it's Ghislaine Maxwell's trial. Ghislaine Maxwell, concubine of Jeffrey Epstein. Chief concubine, head concubine. So I go in, and here's the interesting thing. There was only about 20 people watching the trial. That's it. And you can't watch it on TV, and you can't watch it on the internet. You can only see it in the court. That's how it is. That's why they have sketches. Even the sketch artist I spoke to over there, she had to be in a spillover room. Eventually she got into the main room a little later on. People today, I think, are more disconnected from what it means to be human than, well, for as long as I've been alive anyway, as far as I can tell. You have 20 people there doing it, watching this trial. The whole world is interested in this trial. Of the 20 people, the majority, maybe it's a little more than 20, but under 30. The majority of people are reporters. Reporters for Fox News, for business, whatever the fuck. Various, mainstream, CBS, right? People I spoke to there. I'm saying, I'm not guessing these names. And these people, the reporters, you're not gonna learn from the reporters and this is how almost the entire world's gonna find out. Almost the entire world knows about this from these few reporters. Their focus is entirely different of what your interest is. What you want to know is what I think, because I'm just a regular old person. Ideally, you would go there yourself. It's open to the public. Why are there so many people there? Now, of the people who are non-reporters, which is a lot less important, because, again, reporters are going to be the ones who provide quote-unquote information for the vast majority of people, like 99% of the people out there. But the other ones, more than half are kooks of one form or another. There's right-wing kooks, there's left-wing kooks. And that's a bit nuts. Of the people who are non-kooks over there, and by the way, I'm the only person who was there without an agenda. I'm the only person who just happens to have shown up there or went there out of his own curiosity. The people who are not kooks, they have their YouTube channels. And those are, the kooks have YouTube channels too, obviously. But the non-kooky YouTube channels, they're also very much going on hearsay. Things like, I swear to God, one person told me that she heard something from somebody who was at a party. I won't even repeat what the information is. But somebody who was at a party with the son of someone who was tangentially related to this case. And the son was supposedly drunk and said some information. Whatever, maybe. I'm saying, if I knew more about the subject, maybe I would be able to evaluate enough to talk about it. Otherwise, I try to be careful somewhat with people's information. And something like this, which is hearsay from a supposed drunk person through he said after she said after he said sort of thing. So what's going on? It's like you don't have. And this is for history. This is for the official fucking record. You're not going to have people who watched the actual trial live, and it matters to some degree live for the record. It does, obviously. Even if you're watching the whole thing, you're not going to have many people who can tell you much about it. I, for example, haven't told you a damn thing about it. But that's the thing. The most important thing to know about it is that you have no idea what the fuck is going on. Everyone's watching things through their fucking internets. And you're watching it from people who have an agenda. Okay. Now, as for me, other than my, agenda, I guess, that other people get out there and live life a little bit. Not that it's none of my business. Don't do it if you don't want to. I don't really have an agenda. What do I have to say about it? I can answer questions that people have, but this is not a live stream just yet. Haven't set that up. But what's really interesting to say about it Okay, I had a... I'm a fucking troublemaker. You might have known that. So I get in the elevator, and there is Ghislaine Maxwell's brother and sister in the elevator. And people had wanted to leave them alone. I don't care. Whatever. So I get in the elevator. Once I do, other people get in too, because they want to see what's going on. And this guy comes in wearing a Jew cap, a yarmulke. So I turned to him and I said, in an Israeli accent, I said, am I Mossad or are you Mossad? Which one of us here for the Mossad? To make sure to... Unfortunately, Maxwell's brother and sister, they were very... Listen, I don't know what to tell you, but their father, Robert Maxwell, actually was involved with the Mossad, had a state funeral after he mysteriously died in his boat, etc. What is there to tell you about today? Well, apparently, apparently it's pronounced Ghislaine, not Ghislaine. There you go, that's one thing. But apparently Ghislaine Maxwell met Jeffrey Epstein before Robert Maxwell was killed. So, that's interesting. As for the question of whether... there's a lot of Brits here, actually. I would say that among the non-crazies, the majority would be Brits who are here for Prince Andrew reasons, also Robert Maxwell reasons. Not to mention British reporters who probably would be more, I would say, read them. I would say read the British reporters, really, because they're going to give you an angle that's not, steeped in the American overriding concerns of the moment, whatever they happen to be. So, yeah, the question was, is that where his money came from? Is that where Epstein's money came from? So in terms of Epstein's money, there was shell corporations, yada yada. I mean, I guess there's a lot to say. The basic information, I guess you could probably find from the regular journalists. But first of all, the perception that it's not the pilot. We watched the pilot up on the witness stand. The pilot for Jeffrey Epstein, his main pilot for the past, for 30 years, basically, from 1991 till 2019. And he didn't seem like he had been coached. He didn't seem very well prepared. I'm certain that he was prepared for whatever was important, but he didn't come across as, a professional, totally, as if there was some major thing that he was supposed to hide over here. He claims that the only time that he's aware of 8 girls under the age of 18 having been on the plane was when they were with their parents. His own daughter was around Epstein. He didn't mind that. There is a lot of evidence of Epstein having, first of all, a shit ton of money and houses all over the fucking place. Like, you would not believe the houses. Oh, by the way, one important thing I should mention, really the most important thing. I'll finish this and I'll tell you that. He had houses all over the goddamn place. Like, in the course of evidence, literally every 3 minutes is like, and what was he doing there? Well, he had another house there. He had another home over there, like just everywhere. Second of all, he was really into fucking. And he had professional women fuck him. It's like people in their late, as far as what came out today, women approximately 29 appears to have been his chosen age. That was approximately when he met Ghislaine Maxwell and the other women that have been mentioned. There were professional masseuses, there were professional yoga instructors, but he seems to have been particular in women that were quite good at this job and were very familiar with the male body. As for his money, I mean, other people, what's surprising to me, look, because the whole thing seemed to me very much like a Mossad honeypot. Like, it just seemed obvious, like from Robert Maxwell onwards, that you get these important people who control the world, you get them in compromising positions with girls, and there you go. There you go. You can blackmail, and it doesn't have to be even anything illegal. It just has to be that they're married or that it would look bad for their status or whatever the fuck else. It's just easy. So this seemed very much like a honeypot operation that was taken over by Epstein after Maxwell was gone. But for some reason, the people that I spoke to there including the including the light conspiracy theories, the people who are writing, they didn't put that much credibility into that. And they looked a lot into this case. Anyway, but the most important thing, really, the most important thing is that a tremendous amount of information is redacted. Oh, by the way, okay, I got it. There's so many interesting kooks over there. And again, out of the very few people who are there, that's why normal people have to go there, so you can have a number of different versions of the story out there. And, anyways, but who flew who's on the manifest? Who flew? Redacted, under seal, court-granted anonymity. Really, those three. Redacted, in other words, when they show the documents, there's a big black bar through it. There's things that are under seal, and there's things that the people that the court granted anonymity to. So, now you could certainly argue that perhaps some of these people are women who don't want to be in the thing. But, I mean, I guess women who perhaps were underage at the time, that's possible. In fact, the main one is that there was this confusion. This one woman who doesn't want to be mentioned, they kept calling her Jane as, the fake name they gave her. The problem is that proving that Epstein was involved with her while she was underage involves the dates on the manifest. On the manifest, this woman, whose name is not really Jane, whose name is something else, this woman, only her first name is mentioned in some of the manifest logs, and it could be somebody else with that first name. So, and the pilot, like I'm saying, in terms of he didn't seem to be very skilled in artifice, although one would assume that he would have to be. So when the prosecution was asking, he said, that there was only one other person. In other words, this first name appeared during a flight that he was not involved with, I believe, that he was not actually on. This woman's name in the 90s, which would make this woman underage, this Jane person. And again, because they're using the fake name thing, it gets really confusing because they're arguing over the fucking name, who it is. So the pilot said that, there was only one other person who had the same first name, whatever. And it had to be on cross with the defense pointing out that, yes, you weren't there. Somebody else could have had that first name. Which, obviously the pilot could have known that that was going to be brought up in cross, and therefore he let it, he didn't bring it up himself. But still, it seemed a little bit, especially because so much of it did not seem obvious. It was so much like, I think, I believe, or I'm not sure, from everyone involved. But yeah, like I said, the names of the passengers having been redacted and having been under seal and court-granted anonymity, other than this Jane and this one other woman, I believe, who might be, under seal for that kind of reason, for the personal whatever it is. And even that, I'm not sure why they're under seal precisely. It is quite incredible the amount that is not, the amount of important things, the things that everyone wants to know about, that is not actually being allowed to be in the courtroom whatsoever. Anyhow, my original point, though, is more important, which is people need to get the fuck out. I mean, you can imagine, whatever. I was going to make some mask conversation thing, but that's a separate point. But, yeah, you got to be involved with the world. I mean, living life through your phone is just a terrible, terrible, terrible thing. Through your computer, through the internet. You got to get out there. If something's interesting, instead of reading what someone else has to say about it for 4 hours and doing your own research, go down to the fucking court yourself. Sella.